Chapter 1. Be equal to or better than the competition. Few people ever stop to consider what being in business really means. Very often, new entrepreneurs make the mistake of launching their companies without ever considering what they're really up against. Make no mistake, unless you are the inventor of a completely new and revolutionary product that is uniquely unlike anything the world has ever seen, you will have competition. Unless your service is so groundbreaking that it provides consumers with solutions to problems they probably didn't even know they had, you will have competition. The fact is that there are very few exceptions to this one fundamental truth about business. For most entrepreneurs, the task at hand is to figure out how to compete for your share of a market that is already being serviced by the competition's offerings. There are relatively few examples of innovative ideas that are truly revolutionary in nature. Yes, there are innovations that periodically alter the landscape of some segment of the consumer marketplace, but those dynamic and revolutionary business changes are not as common as many might think. For the vast majority of new entrepreneurs, business is about entering a market that is already being served by others, and that means most new business owners are men and women who believe that they can compete against those established companies. Unfortunately, it can be a costly mistake to launch a new business based on only the assumption that you can do it too. All too often, that assumption leads entrepreneurs to start companies with the goal of simply being in business. If you believe that you can achieve success simply by going through the motions, chances are you will struggle to achieve your goals. That rule applies whether you are starting a new business or adding new products and services. If you are in business just to be in business, then you probably won't be in business long. To be successful, you have to have a compelling reason for your actions. When you're launching your own startup company, you need to have confidence in your ability to match the best in your industry. Without that underlying core belief, you might as well continue working for someone else, because you will likely never achieve the type of success you need if you are to remain in business for any length of time. Of course, to reasonably believe that you can compete with the best, you first have to believe that you have positioned your company in a way that provides it with the best chance for fulfilling your vision. You have to earnestly believe that your strategic plans provide you with the position you need to obtain that often elusive competitive edge. And even then, your well-planned strategies could fail if you do not have the right foundation on which to build. So, start with a basic inventory to determine whether you have positioned yourself for success. Remember, without a firm foundation, nothing you build will ever last. Gut check time. Any entrepreneur who expects to achieve success with a new startup had better be prepared to do a little self-evaluation before he or she begins. Every new business's foundation is only as strong as its founder, so you have to be sure that you and everyone in your life are fully prepared for the quest for success. That determination can be more easily made by answering two basic questions. 1. Do you have the requisite passion and tenacity you will need to actually make your business a success? There is a reason this question is first, because if you cannot honestly answer it in the affirmative, then none of the remaining questions matter. Search your heart and assess your reasons for launching your company. If those reasons amount to nothing more than simply creating your own job to fill an income vacuum, then you have chosen the wrong path. A lack of passion for your chosen business will inevitably end in disaster. The fact is that history is littered with the remains of small businesses that were doomed by their owners' lack of passion. If you think about it, chances are you will have known a small business owner who lacked passion for his chosen business. I have seen many entrepreneurs go through the motions without any real love for their companies. Many have struggled for years, waiting for everything to turn around on its own accord. Some have even gone so far as to press their own family members to join them in an attempt to make things work, but often with no better result. If you would like to avoid that dreary outcome, then be sure that you have the passion that you need. You have to love what you do and wake up every day excited at the prospect of meeting the day's challenges. That enthusiasm can fuel the desire you need to maintain true passion for your company over time. Without it, your chances for success are severely handicapped before you even begin. Number 2. Do you have the support you will need to endure the rough times? Are you married or in a committed relationship? If so, then be sure to obtain your partner's pledge of support before even beginning your business venture. That means discussing the pros and cons of your company's launch before you ever fully commit to bringing it to life. The reality is that both of you will need to be ready for whatever comes, good or bad, and be prepared to work through the tough times. The last thing you will need when you suffer a setback at work is to have added trouble manifest at home. If your spouse or partner has any doubts or misgivings about business ownership, be sure to resolve those issues right away. This is absolutely critical. There is virtually no chance that you will go through each day without experiencing some level of difficulty, and when work gets rough, your home is the only refuge you will have when you need to rejuvenate and reorganize for another day. You must be able to leave your troubles at work if you expect to survive business ownership for the long term. If your spouse cannot fully commit to your endeavor, then you are going to come home to a whole other set of business-related problems. Face it, even if he or she is not a formal partner in your company, your spouse is a de facto business partner just by virtue of your home relationship. Can you rely on that partner to keep the home a place of peace and tranquility that provides you with the atmosphere that you need to ensure that your batteries are fully charged before you venture out each day in search of a better life for you and your family? If not, then that is an issue you should address before you launch your business. The thing to remember is that you will have almost no chance of being better than the competition if your life is so unbalanced that you cannot even find the peace and comfort you'll need when you come home at the end of your day. There are few, if any, exceptions to this simple rule. The best planning in the world will do little to change things if you lack a strong support system, and even your best efforts will still leave you feeling as though you end each day with more problems than you had when it began. Spousal support is therefore one of the most critical elements of business success. It is part of the foundation on which you will build your entire business structure. As a result, it is among the first things you must secure before you begin. Think of it like a video game, if you will. You do not get to move on to level 2 until you have successfully completed level 1. Your mindset matters. Mindset is the key that will help you to unlock the door to success. To be the best in class, you have to have a mindset that says that you must be equal to or better than your competition. As I noted earlier, if you believe that you cannot be at least equal to your rivals, you are right. With that mindset, you will never be able to match them, since you will have already set yourself up to accept something less than the best. That lack of faith in your own ability to succeed will almost invariably shape your destiny in a way that ends with your failure. Remember, from a statistical standpoint, you are more likely to fail than succeed anyway. Is that acceptable to you? If so, then just recognize that your business success is being left to little more than the whims of fate. The odds are against you and will remain so as long as your mindset tells you that you can never be equal to your competition. It is only when you fundamentally alter that mindset and start to commit to being nothing short of the best that you can finally begin to turn those odds in your favor. For most entrepreneurs, the focus is always on the end result. That leads to a great deal of discouragement when setbacks occur, since those goals can end up looking as though they're moving even further out of reach. That's the problem with having a mindset that sees only the ultimate goal. It causes you to get frustrated when the goal is so distant that your daily efforts seem to move you no closer to success. Success might be your final and ultimate goal, but the wise man recognizes that it is not typically something that can be realized overnight. The proper mindset for success recognizes that victories can arrive on a daily basis. When you refocus your mind to emphasize that which you can do today rather than that which still lies out of reach, you can achieve tremendous progress. And while some daily victories might be more meaningful than others, they can all have bearing on your ultimate quest for success if they continue to move you in the right direction. Even on those days where you seem to miss the target altogether, just aiming in the right direction can be enough. Once that mindset begins to be established, the only thing that can keep you from eventual success is your own unwillingness to continue the fight. As long as you do not give up prematurely, your skills will continue to be honed, and your ability to garner larger and larger victories will only grow over time. There's a reason why so much of this chapter begins with an emphasis on you and your state of mind. You need to have a mindset that is both consistent and sustainable if you are to succeed. In fact, mindset is the main difference between success and failure in business because it is an essential part of the foundation on which you will build. Mindset directly impacts your goals, your expectations, your strategies, and your actions. By the time you are finished with this chapter, you should have an understanding of what it takes to be a champion for your business. You will better understand why you, as the owner and leader of your business, must be the first true believer in your own commitment and ability to be at least the equal of your business rivals. And once you truly believe that you can be their equal, you must begin to believe that you can be their better. Only then can you build a business that is truly the best in class. Business mirrors sport in so many ways. Obviously, there are some differences as well, such as the fact that you as the owner are both the coach of your team and its star player. But like any sports team, your company team wants to win. You want to be the champion in your league. To win that championship, however, everyone on your team, the coach, the star player, the supporting cast, and even the water boy, all have to be willing to push themselves to their limits. They have to share a belief that they can remain together in their effort to win, irrespective of setbacks, lost games, or even perceived bad calls during the game. Just as in sports, mindset in business is a belief system that governs your unique skill sets and knowledge base. That is not to say that it is all about knowing more than everyone around you or being the most highly skilled in your field, however. It is about exploiting your maximum knowledge and skill sets to achieve the very best outcome. The mindset reflected in a total, unyielding, and unwavering commitment and dedication to hard work as you strive to master that which you will need to master and execute every task to the best of your ability, accepting nothing less than your personal best. Because it is a belief system, Mindset can seem almost religious in nature. Like many religious faiths, it can be contagious and have a direct impact on your organization's culture. When they are strongly held and conveyed in a powerful and consistent manner, beliefs can spread throughout any environment and enact dramatic changes that move people, organizations, and entire societies. That is why it is so critically important that you begin with the right mindset, because it is your beliefs that will help to shape your team, your business, and your entire company. As the leader, it falls on you to set the company direction, serve as inspiration, and motivate everyone in your company with whom you interact. It is your words, deeds, and beliefs that will influence the people on your team over time. It is vital that you recognize the impact that you will have, since there is a cascading effect at work throughout the company. Each person that you influence will then influence others throughout the entire enterprise. Over time, that cascading dissemination of your beliefs becomes your organization's culture. Think about that. The very fact that your vision, beliefs, and actions can create a company-wide culture should give you pause. You are, for good or ill, the source of your company's life essence. What you are, it will become. You drive change and set the tone for your organization's accomplishments. You blaze the trail that your team members will then follow and turn into a navigable highway. That makes it critically important that you know where you are leading everyone before you ever take the first step, lest you be forced to start over again down a different path later. And you don't want to have to start again, since that can have a crippling, unproductive effect on your business, allowing your rivals the time they need to either outpace you in the marketplace or catch up to you if you were already in the lead. So guard your words and give heed to your own actions. Always remember just how powerful the mindset of a leader can be. Throughout history, great leaders have capitalized on their own mindsets to sway the opinions and beliefs of thousands and even millions of their followers. Within your own organization, it is you who is the great leader. To use that awesome responsibility and power to maximum effect, you have to know exactly where you want your team to go, and then make sure that your mindset is properly conditioned to get them there. Being best in class. Where mindset is concerned, one thing is seemingly unalterable. Most people in the world are followers. They do what they see others do because it is in their nature to stay within their comfort zones. That causes them to take the convenient routes mapped out by those who have come before them, remaining within the confines of the well-traveled and safe roads that everyone else traverses. That is the safe route and the choice of almost every man and woman in the past. It is the choice of most people today, and will almost assuredly be the preferred option for the vast majority of people in the future. There is a powerful argument to be made for taking that safe route. Being a follower means never taking the type of risks that could have any serious impact on your life. To be sure, that lack of risk severely curtails the possibility of large rewards, but it also diminishes the chances of large losses, too. For most people, it is enough that they have the opportunity to exist in a state of relative safety somewhere in the mediocre middle of life, shielded from the dramatic extremes of true success and abject failure. They are willing to trade dreams of something bigger for the promise of some small sense of security. The very fact that you dream of building your own business is a powerful sign that you are someone more than one of the several billion who are content to be followers. You have that leadership spark within you and envision something more than a sheltered life filled with only small risks and equally small rewards. You dream bigger than that and have courage to match those aspirations. Still, taking that leap outside of your comfort zone does not necessarily mean that you will have to reinvent the proverbial wheel. That is correct. You don't have to reinvent that wheel to find success in the marketplace. All you have to do is make it a little bit better, a little more adaptable to different terrain and weather conditions, or just add some other improvements that differentiates it from the competition. Think about it this way. If you just want to match your competition, then you just have to do what it takes to be their equal. That means doing exactly what they are doing, or as close to it as you can get. But if you want to be better than your rivals, then you need to offer something more. Sometimes that means minor improvements over their products or services. Other times it means doing something radically better than anyone else in your field. Now, none of this is to suggest that you have to be a market leader right away. It can be perfectly fine to travel down an existing highway that is already well traveled by others in the marketplace. For many new entrepreneurs, that initial journey down a well traveled road can provide the time needed to gain the critical experience and expertise that can be utilized later as you look to carve out your own path as a trailblazer. The time will come when you will have to be ready to blaze your own trail. That is, after all, the only way to move away from the competition and actually rise above them. As you develop the competitive edge, you need to differentiate yourself and ultimately dominate within your niche market. To get there, you have to learn to focus your resources on things that offer you the best return. The best option is to emphasize areas of improvement that your competition will find difficult to replicate, and direct your efforts to making those areas your chief selling points. That puts you on the path to offering everything that your rivals offer, but in a new and improved way. 8 areas where you can strive to be the best in class. 1. Be more in tune with your customers. If you want to be the best in class, work to gain a better understanding of your customers. Discover what they really care about and develop strategies for keeping pace with those sentiments as they change and evolve over time. Oftentimes, even the top businesses can get into a rut when it comes to maintaining a solid understanding of how their customers think. Companies both large and small can easily fall into the trap of assuming that attitudes, wants, and needs remain static over time. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, customer attitudes change for a variety of reasons and with greater frequency than most people realize. Changing economic conditions, evolving technologies, new service models, and subtle cultural shifts can all cause a company's market to gradually abandon it over time. However, if you can learn how to engage your target market in a way that helps you keep pace with those customers' needs and do it better than your rivals, then you will have gained the type of competitive advantage that can help you to become the best in class and remain there on a long-term basis. 2. Focus on customer service. This can be considered a corollary of the first suggestion, since it flows naturally from the idea of getting in tune with those customers. Many new entrepreneurs fail to grasp that customer retention is both easier and less expensive than customer acquisition. That simple axiom is all you need to know to understand that the surest way to success is to recognize that nothing good will ever happen to you if you don't learn how to keep the customers you have. Now, it is important to recognize that your current customers are somebody else's target audience. Each of your rivals covets those customers and will be focused on drawing them away from you. So you have to have a strategy that services your existing clientele in a way that builds trust and loyalty to your brand. You have to be the best in class at customer retention to avoid spending all of your time and effort chasing new customers to replace those that you lose to your competition. You need only do the math. If each new customer you gain is merely replacing one that you've lost due to inferior customer service, can you really expect to grow your company? Develop processes for engaging those existing clients and becoming truly responsive to what they say that they need. That may end up including loyalty programs or better credit terms for long-term customers. It may include a new willingness to add the products or services that they say they want. It may even require that you consider loyalty discounts or other benefits. Or it may just require a subtle change in the way your team communicates with each customer. The point is, you cannot be the best in class if you lose customers as fast as you acquire them. 3. Differentiate. Differentiation has long been critical for business success, but there is a new school of thought that actually places such a strong emphasis on differentiating yourself from your competitors that it essentially suggests that companies not even focus on being better than their competition. That approach asserts that being different is more important than being better. It basically disavows the idea of competition by suggesting that entrepreneurs focus exclusively on separating themselves from comparison with rivals. Rather than competing with other companies directly, you simply focus on communicating the things that make you different than everyone else. While I would not go that far in my praise of differentiation, there should be no doubt about its importance in the quest to be the best in class. Differentiation is about more than simply being different than your rivals. It is about communicating those differences. As the marketplace grows ever more crowded, with online-only stores and service outlets rising in competition with brick-and-mortar enterprises, being able to effectively communicate those differences is more important than ever before. Think about a product or service you regularly use, and then think about the business you know that provides those offerings. Chances are that the main thing separating those companies in your mind is the effectiveness of their communication. The best companies are able to communicate their advantages in a way that truly differentiate themselves from everyone else in their market niche. They are keenly interested in and aware of how others perceive them. To rise to the top of your field, you have to adopt the same mindset and focus on those customer perceptions. Your customers, both existing and prospective, have to see how you differ from the competition. That provides them with the unique selling proposition that explains why your company is special and worthy of their business. 4. Focus on better branding. Being the best in class requires careful attention to everything, because everything truly does matter. Nowhere is that more true than in how you brand your company, because that goes right to the heart of what customers think and feel when they see your logo or hear your company name. Even if you do everything else better than your competition, chances are that you will be unlikely to garner any real traction in the marketplace if your branding is weak. Your brand should be in line with your unique selling proposition so that you create an indelible impression in the minds of each and every customer who encounters your message. That means finding the right message, the right images, and the right level of consistent image promotion necessary for building a company image that fully complements your desire to be the best in class. From your storefront to your website, consistent, quality content is an absolute must. If you have already started the branding process, evaluate it now. Consider the things you need to achieve with your message and look for any weaknesses in your current approach. Evaluate everything, including your signs, printed materials, online presence, packaging, and more. Nothing should be off limits, including your company name. If you have or plan to have a brick and mortar operation, then give special attention to how the store looks. A well-kept storefront is essential for conveying a professional image. It also helps both customers and employees to feel more at home, and can even increase employee happiness and productivity. Something as seemingly minor as how your team answers the phone can harm or help your company image. Trust is a key consideration in many products and services, such as financial services. Consequently, if that is the business you are in, building a trusted brand is invaluable. In other cases, value, reliability, and great customer service are valuable to have and what your company is best known for. 5. Invest in public relations. Public relations is an extension of your branding and marketing strategies. Many small business owners do not exploit the power of good public relations because of the wrong assumption that this important function is limited to companies with big budgets that can hire expensive PR firms. It certainly helps to have the connection of PR firms and their expertise, but much positive work can be done with a relatively small budget. However, it is essential to ensure that you must have a product or service that is worth promoting. Furthermore, if you do not have your house in order, it is a losing proposition to just throw money at PR. When you have a well-oiled machine across your entire organization with a great product or service coupled with great customer support, good public relations work is invaluable. Public relations is a campaign to promote your company and products in the best of light. It focuses on sharing your success stories with your targeted audience by building awareness, credibility, interest, and respect for your company. When done effectively, it has the power to influence and shape the industry, building a trusted brand for your products. Using clear and consistent messages as you share your story with passion and conviction, you rally your fan base to support and share your cause. With credibility and substance, supported with deep knowledge of your trade or industry, you can build a large following as a thought leader and be frequently quoted as an authority. This, in turn, will create a demand to include you as a speaker in industry exhibitions along with press interviews. Good public relations takes dedicated and sustained efforts to get your messages out to your target audience through the use of multiple mediums, including frequent press releases, blogs, speaking engagements, participation in trade exhibitions, and social media campaigns. It is best to have a strategic plan well laid out on a yearly basis. In many ways, good PR is a great tool to promote the concept of pull marketing, when people want to know more about you and want to buy your products based on the awareness, credibility, and trust that you have built for your brand. Along with a commitment to greater customer satisfaction, this is a far more effective approach to customer acquisition, retention, and referral as opposed to the push marketing approach of hard sales. 6. Be better at identifying trends to target new markets. A big part of your mindset has to be future oriented. When there always seems to be more than enough in the present to occupy any entrepreneur's mind, sustainable growth can only come when you develop an attitude that is always forward looking. Give heed to not only what is happening in the here and now, but to the changes that are currently shaping what will be. Today's evolving trends give us clues about what tomorrow's reality will look like, and the entrepreneur who learns to identify these trends will always have an advantage when it comes to meeting the needs of tomorrow's customers. That ability to see new markets before they fully develop can help to ensure that your business will be well poised to serve its existing market on a long-term basis, and will also give you early opportunity to advance into new markets as they emerge. That alone can help to ensure that you remain a cut above the competition, especially if they end up being caught flat-footed due to a lack of foresight. 7. Identify complementary products and services. Do not get complacent with your product and service offerings. One of the biggest mistakes any company can make is to become so self-satisfied that complacency sets in. This can lead to stagnation, especially when your customers' tastes or needs change. We live in an age of ever-increasing expectations, with more people than ever before demanding more and more from the businesses they frequent. Can you be agile enough to recognize the need for adapting to changing circumstances? If not, then it would be a good idea to develop that agility now. This harkens back to that need to develop solid engagement with your customer base so that you have a proper understanding of those customers' wants and needs at all times. That can help to drive the development of new products and services by providing you with the constant, reliable market research you need to minimize risk. It also enables you to add new offerings that complement what you already do. A good example of this occurred as a result of the Internet's increased popularity. As customers became more reliant on having anytime access to wireless capabilities, many restaurants, bars, and other shops began to offer free wireless services to their patrons. Today, there are many places where a drinking establishment would find itself at a competitive disadvantage if it failed to offer free Wi-Fi. With the right strategy and tools in place, you can be that type of trailblazer and identify those complementary services and products before your competition even realizes that their customers' needs have changed. 8. Be the best employer. A lot of employers talk about the happiness of their employees, but too few actually give it anything more than lip service. For many business owners, the relationship between company, management, and the employee team is reduced to nothing more than a wage agreement. Oh, sure, there may be internal campaigns to generate a sense of teamwork and self-actualization, but when you talk to many of those employees outside of the workplace, you'll quickly discover that much of that employee-centric talk is just that, talk. If there has ever been one major sea change in the employment scene over the last few generations, it has been the weakening of the bond between companies and those that they employ. Much has been said and written about how employees lack loyalty to the companies that employ them, but this has also been a two-way street. Companies across the spectrum of the marketplace all too often see their own employees as just another commodity to be acquired or disposed of as needed. Large-scale firings have been common for decades now, as large and mid-sized companies alike simply cut their labor forces whenever their profits look to be a little lower than they had forecast. That's not a recipe for loyalty. That's the recipe for an every man for himself mentality. Consumers today almost routinely express the belief that large companies simply do not care about their customers. Those companies have a culture that sends precisely the wrong signals to the people who they rely on to buy their goods and services. If you ever had contact with one of those companies, whether it's a power company, bank, or large retailer, then you've almost certainly experienced that disinterest firsthand. In too many instances, customer service issues are met with a slow response, an uncaring attitude, or an outright refusal to help. The employees often seem to care not a whit whether the company retains your business or not. That employee attitude has been an origination point, of course, the corporate culture. In almost every instance where an employee fails to demonstrate that he cares about the company's customers, it is because that employee believes that the company does not care for him. In a perfect world, of course, every employee would simply do his or her job without respect to such things. But this is not a perfect world. People have feelings that are influenced by their beliefs, and when your employees think that you view them as nothing more than cogs in your company machine, they are likely to reflect that lack of care in their interactions with your customers. To prevent that, you have to be the best in class when it comes to being an outstanding employer. Does that mean that you have to pay your employees more than they receive elsewhere? Not necessarily. Obviously, if you want to retain skilled and highly motivated personnel, you need to ensure that they are receiving competitive wages. But if you think that the size of the paycheck is all that matters, then think again. Today's employees are more likely to demonstrate loyalty to both you and your customers when you show that you can provide a competitive wage and the right kind of working environment. That environment should be one in which professional and career development is stressed, real efforts are made to demonstrate your appreciation for everyone on the team, and every effort is made to provide the kind of benefits that people actually need. Flexible scheduling, an employer who actually values the members of his or her team, and an atmosphere that promotes positive engagement on every level. It might seem like a small thing, but that is simply not the case. It takes a lot of work to develop strong relationships with your team members, but that work is well worth the effort if it produces a culture that values all aspects of the company. When you can show that you value your team, they will in turn value your business and its customers, and those customers will notice. Know yourself, know your rivals. Sun Tzu recognized the power of knowledge when he noted, "If you know your enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles." Though your competitors are not actual enemies in that art of war way, they are rivals, and thus the principle laid out in those wise words is as important in business as it would be if you and those rivals were facing one another on the field of battle. We fear those things that we do not know, just as we fear those things about ourselves that cause us to be filled with doubt. Knowledge has a way of eliminating fear. The fact is that the path to being equal to or better than all of your rivals is a road that must be paved with bricks of knowledge. You must be intimately familiar with your competition and identify their strengths, their weaknesses, and the threat that they pose to your dreams. You must gain the ability to objectively compare and contrast their strengths and weaknesses with your own, so that you can discover your opportunity for gaining an advantage. This is the war that you must fight, and it need not evoke fear if you work to gain the right level of knowledge about both yourself and your rivals. If that sounds simplistic, rest assured it is not. The fact is that this is an area of competition where almost every small and mid-sized business fails. If you doubt that, then try this experiment the next time you see two small businesses in the same local area. Go into one of them and ask the owner or manager what he or she really knows about that competitor. Ask about things like price differences, special offerings, or service terms. You will be shocked to discover that in most instances, the people who run either of those businesses know almost nothing about the other. As scary as that thought might be, it is even scarier when you consider how differently sports teams approach issues of competition. Take a football team, for example. If Team A has a weekend game scheduled against Team B, one of the first things the coach and his staff will do is to obtain as much game footage of the opponent as they can possibly find. They scour that footage to study and review exactly how that team plays on both sides of the ball. They examine the quarterback's cadence, his throwing rhythm, and how he hands the ball off to his running backs and how he calls audibles at the line. They review the routes the receivers run, offensive line blocking schemes, and every other aspect of the offense that they can think of. And then they take the same approach as they study their opponent's defense. And you know what? While Team A is busy studying Team B's game footage in preparation for the big game, the latter is just as busy studying the former's game films. That is just one indication of how much value the average football team places on gaining knowledge about its opponents. Yes, that's right. Sports teams spend a great deal of time gaining knowledge about their rivals before they meet them on the field of battle. Coaches study game film, players study game film, and then they develop strategies to counter, or try to counter, the opponent's tendencies that they identify. It is actually more than a little worrisome to realize that unpaid college athletes spend that much time learning about their opponents, while the average business owner spends almost no time studying his own rivals. At the same time, however, that presents an enormous opportunity for you and your goal of becoming the best in class. If you are willing to commit to studying the game film, then you can gain the type of knowledge that most of your eventual competitors will never even attempt to discover. To truly know yourself and your competitors, you have to commit to being an expert in your industry. You must work to become deeply informed about its current state, future expectations, and looming challenges. You need to identify the problems that your industry is trying to resolve and learn everything you can about your competitors' solutions. That is the only way to ensure that you are presenting better solutions in a better way. Does that sound like hard work? You are correct. It is. To accomplish this goal, you have to be completely invested in your dream. It requires extensive knowledge, steadfast dedication, and decisive action. It will require that you use all of your faculties to develop the level of deep knowledge needed to create one or more strategies that can enable you to win the battle you are undertaking. And remember, you cannot develop the right strategy for victory if you are ignorant of your competition, your industry, or your own company. You have to work to find a way to position yourself to do that which others either will not do or cannot do. If it helps, think of it all as a game. Why do football teams study films to develop strategies? Is it so that they can identify what the other team does well and then go out and play to that opponent's strengths? Or do they instead try to identify that other team's weaknesses so that they may exploit them? Obviously, it is the latter. In our game, the marketplace is our field of battle, and we study our opponents in order to determine what we can do that they cannot, or a better or more compelling way to do even those things that they already do. To accomplish that feat, you have to change the rules of the game, and you do that by ensuring that you know more about them than they are willing to discover about themselves. It is that knowledge that will enable you to do the things that they simply cannot or will not do. And as you repeat that process of research, identification, and strategy development over time, your efforts will enable you to reach new heights and truly be better than your competition. With continued success, you accumulate the resources and capabilities your competitors can only dream of having. Hence, one of your best means of gaining the competitive edge is to do the things that others will not do, so that one day you will be in the position to do the things that others cannot do.